Now it's time for campaigning. In the next couple of minutes, the campaign team wants to introduce to you what we have achieved so far and what is the campaign about and what do we want to achieve within the next 12 months. You may remember this fantastic picture from last year when we all were on the stage in Helsinki and we introduced the campaign and we said, be part of it. So what we have achieved so far with your help. We come back to the goals. We had formulated 6 goals. The first, of course, is highlighting the uniqueness of biodiversity hotspot Vietnam. The second one, that we have a fantastic example living the one plan approach. The third one is building bridges between the EAZA community and the Vietnamese as well as international conservation and research partners. The fourth is fulfilling the objectives of pre-selected flagship projects, and these projects we want to introduce you later on. The fifth one is providing financial and technical support and creating long-term partnerships to drive the conservation efforts for selected highly threatened species and their habitat. And the sixth one, strengthening the ex situ conservation efforts for highly threatened species at EAZA institutions and beyond. So with these 6 goals, we started, and I'm really proud and happy to announce you the first results. So far, 157 institutions take part in the Vietnamazing campaign. Have a round of applause for these 157. And what we have defined is 2 phases. The phase 1 was the last 12 months with 125,000, and we have reached so far 78,000 received and pledged. And for the phase 2, we already pledged 35,000. So far, we have 112,000 of funds. So big round of applause for all funders. And how to achieve the rest, we will come to that back at the end. Now I have the privilege and the honor to announce the Vietnamese ambassador in Germany, Vu Quang Minh. He would have been here, but he's now explaining in the video why not, but he's now with us in the next video.
Dear Professor Dr. John Junhon, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the nature, guardians of the earth's biodiversity. First of all, please accept my deep apology that I cannot join you in person at this most important gathering today. We are having a delegation led by a Deputy Prime Minister of Vietnam to attend the first Hamburg Sustainability Conference, another important event that shares most of our goals for sustainable and green development for all in the context of the global climate change. Therefore, I'm pleased to be here with you in spirit. The good news for me is that I will be honored to join you for the farewell dinner on the 12th of October. It looks like I try to escape the hard work part and enjoy only the party time. Vietnam is so grateful for the efforts made by the European zoo community, in particular, the European Association of Zoos and Aquaria, to help our country deal with the biggest challenges of our time, posed by climate change and rapid loss of biodiversity. It is more important than ever for us to join forces and work together across borders to share technical expertise and financial resources with a view to saving endangered species, their habitats that are part of the basis for human life on Earth. The Vietnamazing campaign is a true testimony that we can succeed in saving our precious species. with the combined efforts between the European zoo community, NGOs in Vietnam, research institutions, government partners, and individuals like each of us here. Personally, I'm delighted to see that Zoo Leipzig is hosting our gathering today, as the zoo has been supporting Vietnam in protecting some of the most vulnerable species in our country for more than 2 decades. Moreover, Zoo Leipzig is home to the elephant family of the Vietnamese Voi Nam and his children. Among them is the little Bao Ngọc that my family, with the support of the Vietnamese community here, has been sponsoring. As the Vietnam's ambassador to Germany, I'm happy to see that we not only have a large and successful Vietnamese community here, but also a lovely Vietnamese elephant community as well. Just a few weeks ago, I visited the zoo in Cottbus to celebrate its 70th anniversary and visited again Don Chung elephant, another lovely elephant from Vietnam that Zoo Leipzig was very kind taking care of her for many years before allowing her to be rehomed to the Cottbus Zoo. It is truly fantastic that we are now in planning stages to return Vietnamese pheasants from Europe to Vietnam after they have almost been extinct in Vietnam. This is a strong sign of hope for all of us to believe that our efforts would make a difference. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, our family loves visiting the zoo whenever we leave. And each time we could see families, children, and people from all walks of life, all ages, being so happy to connect with nature and the species that we all care about. That is a great way to educate our future generations of the importance of preserving our planet's biodiversity. May wish the Vietnamazing campaign a great success, good health and happiness to all of you and your families. See you soon. Vielen Dank. Thank you very much.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's great that so many of you are here, and I talked to many of you yesterday, so my voice is a little bit damaged today. I'm sorry for that. Before I conclude with the next little short refresher about the campaign Flagship Species, I quickly want to give an update on the typhoon situation. Our mayor, Dr. Janneke, raised it quickly this morning. For Vietnam, it was the strongest storm in 30 years. And that's pictures of My Linh Station where some of our activities are implemented. And while luckily there were no major catastrophes with our project partners, I think it does remind us of climate change, and that besides all the other issues that we're trying to tackle, that this is always an issue that we need to keep in mind, that things can sometimes change overnight through climate catastrophes. A quick reminder of the flagship projects for the Vietnamazing campaign. For those of you that are member or that were in Helsinki, we have selected 9 flagship species or species groups. The northern white-cheeked gibbon, standing for the threatened gibbons, of course the Vietnam pheasant, the Vietnamese pond turtle, the tiger hillstream loach, the giant magnolia snail, Vietnamese crocodile lizard, crocodile newts, mossy frogs as a group, and the Nuoi Chua stick insect. And I would like to start with a turtle. Do turtles need help? I guess they totally do. And as he can't be with us today, I would like to announce Professor Minh Le from Vietnam giving a short update on the situation.
Today myself, Professor Dr. Thomas Sickler from Cologne Zoo, and with the team McCormack of IMC, Asian Turtle Program, would like to present our effort to recover one of the most endangered turtles in the world, the Vietnamese pond turtle, using an integrative approach. Our talk is divided into 3 sections: Vietnam's turtle fauna and existing threats, conservation measures implemented for the Vietnamese pond turtle, and some concluding thoughts. Vietnam is well known for its turtle richness, with 29 species of freshwater turtles and tortoises from 4 different families. The country is ranked only behind few countries like the US, Mexico, and China. Unfortunately, more than 80% of the species are currently threatened with extinctions. Many threats include habitat loss and degradations, but most importantly, the turtle threat. Most turtle populations from Vietnam has been wiped out due to overhunting to supply the domestic and international threats. Across the country, adult and small turtles have been overcollected even from protected areas. The Vietnamese pond turtle is no exception to this trend. This is the most endangered turtle in the world and also the most poorly known, with only 3 records from the wild, even though so much effort has been put into studying the species. Thousands of interviews by the Asian Turtle Program have already revealed the rough range estimate of the species in 6 central provinces, from Da Nang to Phu Yên. Our field and interview surveys recorded the species in Pulau Jam Archipelago Biosphere Reserve in the first protected area in Vietnam where the species has been detected. Interview surveys and environmental DNA analysis have also successful in detecting 4 samples from the second protected area in southern part of its range. Habitat assessment of the area is currently underway with funding from zoo. Phylogenetic analysis shows 2 genetically distinct clades from northern and southern parts of the range. The research has very important implications for developing conservation measures. Genetic screening of confiscated turtles from the threat helps identify hybrid forms. Just recently, 100 of samples from founders in Cu Phương National Park have been screened with funding from Cologne Zoo. The results show that turtles came from both parts of this range. Education programs for school children have been carried out at various schools within this range. A public outreach has been undertaken to raise local people awareness of the species. So just some concluding thoughts. Progress has been made since the project started, but important conservation actions need to be implemented soon to recover natural populations. Continue environmental DNA study in other potential sites to determine areas where the species might exist and identify other protected areas within this historical range or establish new ones. Habitat assessment of suitable sites for releasing animals, and if required, repatriate genetically important animals from Europe and the US. So with that, we would like to thank our donors and colleagues for supporting this work, and thank you for listening.
And with that, from Vietnam, we would like to not only jump taxa very quickly, but also to our colleagues back on stage. I would like to welcome Benoit Quintard from Mulhouse and Bernard Wödisch from the Endangered Primate Rescue Center.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's talk about gibbon, and certainly among all the flagship species of this Vietnamizing campaign, the gibbons are the more common in our zoos and certainly the most lodi, and their calls reminds us of the huge threats that are on them and the way we can help them facing these threats. Sorry. So they face hunting, habitat destruction, and wildlife trafficking, and the conservation action we can implement to face that is do obviously land protection, trade control, and ex situ conservation is something we will carry on working on, and working together with the rehabilitation centers is also fundamental. And as you can see on this map, The northern white-cheeked gibbons are the flagship species of this campaign, but are also the ambassadors for all the gibbons of Vietnam. And among them, you can see that we have the Nomascus anamensis, for which a dedicated program is implemented.
Yeah, and on behalf of this project, for the species in general, of course, we face population decrease due to loss of suitable habitat and because of poaching. An important stronghold for the species is the Quang Han Nhung Biosphere Reserve and Gia Lai Province in the central highlands of Vietnam. In the past, project activities focused mainly on two protected areas and the core zones. We have the Con Ca Kin National Park and Con Chu Giang Nature Reserve. In the buffer zone, a forest corridor connects the two protected areas. Past project activities, population monitoring especially, contributed to upcoming conservation of the forest corridor and to a protected area. The unified protected area will cover roughly 81,000 hectares of natural forest. This is the home of the gibbons and many, many other rare and endemic species. We need support to expand conservation efforts in the connecting forest, continue the monitoring of gibbon population, strengthen capacities for the forest guards, outreach towards local people on gibbon conservation. Therefore, a minimum of 10,000 € is needed to implement basic conservation activities in the connecting forest. Project activities are scaled at roughly 20,000 € are needed to cover the most important conservation measures.
As a second project, obviously gibbons do not respect borders, and so it was decided to work also on the Lao side for them. And together with the Lao Conservation Trust for Wildlife, it was decided to help them raise awareness for the gibbon conservation and educate the public about the impacts of illegal wildlife trade on them. And even more interestingly, pioneer coloring was decided on as a preparatory steps to implement future reinforcement and reintroduction of gibbons in Lao. And let's hear Jeremy talk about this.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this very short video. My name is Jeremy. I'm the director of Lao Conservation Trust for Wildlife. And we're a rescue, rehabilitation, and release center here in Lao PDR. And one of our focal species are northern white-cheeked gibbons. And as you know, there's a big problem with poaching them and the illegal trade, especially the pet trade as well. And we're working with the Vietnamazing campaign to help to get support for the potential of radio collaring them and doing soft release and being able to track that and see how it's working exactly. And then, of course, working on education programs for transboundary between Laos and Vietnam, because we know there's a big problem with the trafficking of animals across the boundaries. So thank you so much for listening to me, and we hope that you're having a great conference and that you can help support gibbon conservation here in Laos and also the Vietnamazing project.
And all those reinforcement and reintroduction process couldn't be possible without binding capacities with the rehabilitation centers in Vietnam and Laos, and maybe you can.
Yes, and therefore I would like to announce and also invite on behalf of EPRC that there will be a workshop on husbandry and veterinarian care hosted in Cuc Phuong National Park at the Endangered Primate Rescue Center in the coming year. Date is not fixed yet, but will be sent out to all of you soon. And I'm looking forward to see maybe some of you or some of your staff to show you the place around or the place I call home now. And it's amazing what can be done. It's amazing what already have been done. Nevertheless, it's important to spread the word, to share experience. There are good centers. There are centers who still have potential, and we all want to work together to increase capacities for humans, but especially for our beloved gibbons. And from the highest canopies to the smallest rivers, they are threatened species, and some of them feel like drowning. Unfortunately, Dr. Thomas Ziegler is not able to attend this conference due to duties bringing him to Vietnam right now. Nevertheless, he's sending best regards, and as you can imagine, we prepared a short video for you.
Once more.
Click one more time.
A species conservation campaign, Vietnamazing, by the EAZA, the European Association of Zoos and Aquaria, also covers as a flagship species freshwater fish. Fishes are the least known, understood, and so far also protected vertebrate group in Vietnam. And at the beginning of the campaign, we have selected the tiger hill stream loach, Zevelia lineolata, as flagship species, because this species is already held in zoos in Europe, so can serve as an ambassador species for their threatened congeners in nature in Vietnam. It's a freshwater inhabitant. It needs oxygen-rich flowing water. And it is also available in aquaristics. It's a small species which has an interesting behavior, moving all the time around, trying to grasp algae from the surface of the substrate roots and also the glass panels of the aquarium. It's also very beautiful with its yellow ocelli and blotches, but there's also a reason behind why this is a flagship species, because it's listed as vulnerable by the IUCN Red List, because the natural populations are in decline, because the habitat is conserved and they are collected for the trade and also for aquaristics. And all these analyses are already years ago, and we wanted to know, has something changed in the meantime? This is why the tiger hill stream loach has become the flagship species. And yeah, what could have been achieved so far? We already could have distributed offspring to other zoos. So the conservation breeding network now has grown. There are more zoos keeping the species and also using these fishes as ambassador for fish conservation. And also in Vietnam, we could already do the first initial surveys by Dr. Dinh Thao of the Institute of Ecology and Biological Resources in Hanoi. He did the first surveys in central Vietnam. He could find this species is collected and traded. Also, the habitat, the natural habitat is affected, but he also could find this fish species in nature. And at the same time, we could establish also with the support of the company Sarah conservation breeding facilities at different sites in Vietnam. And the population surveys will continue. And in the end, we will have data which allows us to estimate whether the official protection status must be higher and what we can do in nature to protect the species. Also genetic analysis, because the Zevelia have shown in the past years that there is cryptic diversity. There have been new species described, and we also wanted to know, although Zevelia lineolata, the tiger hill stream loach, has not a really wide distribution range, whether this in fact maybe consists of several cryptic lineages, which is important for conservation and also for conservation breeding. So we could already achieve important steps after half a year, but still have to go ahead with further analysis. And most important, this is just a seed project, a pioneer project with the first threatened fish species in Vietnam, and we want to establish also further conservation breeding programs for further threatened fish species from Vietnam. So that's just the beginning what the conservation campaign Vietnamazing has created and initiated here.
I think we all agree that conservation is mostly about collaboration. and stories of hope. And I think there is a very good species related to Vietnam, the Vietnam pheasant, because our community, and not forget about organized private breeders, have saved the species from extinction, and plans are ongoing to bring the species back to the wild in Vietnam. But I don't want to talk about it. We are very happy that she could actually make it. So please give a warm welcome to Tuan Anh from Viet Nature to tell you herself about the situation and the positive stories from this time and from the future.
Thank you. Actually, first of all, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizer, the Vietnamazing campaign, to give me the opportunity to be here among you with a very small obligation to give you a pleasant surprise. I will try my very best. And please tell me at the end of my presentation whether I have done it or not. So my presentation is about the past, the present, and the future for a bluebird, which is very dear and near to the hearts of many of us, the Vietnam pheasant. So we will be talking about the history of the species, what we have done, and what it takes to save the species. It is quite familiar to some of you that this species is very mysterious. It was discovered in the late 19th century, and during the 1920s, it was sent to Europe by a French ornithologist. But after that, in the later 6 decades, it was very rarely seen in the wild. And the last time it was seen in the wild, it was in 2000. And in 2012, it was uplisted to critically endangered. And now it's being uplisted to extinction in the wild, or probably extinction. So it's, the status has become worse very quickly. But fortunately, there's more than 1,000 birds in the HE2 in your loving hands of the zoos, of private breeders. And it has a very well-managed stud book. Now that population has become the only hope for this species' survival in the wild. So in the history, this one has been only found in 4 provinces in Vietnam. So it is an endemic species to Vietnam. And the threats to its survival in the wild include habitat loss and destruction during a prolonged war, and also the development after the war. Perhaps the biggest threat to it nowadays is hunting, snaring in the forest. It's really indiscriminate, that it catches from the very small animals to the bigger ones. Our vision for the species is very simple. We want to see this species alive and thrive in our forests. That we want our future generations can see it in real life and can take photos of it, not like what I do here. I have to use technology, I have to use Photoshop to bring them to their natural home in this picture. And the active actions to save this species started more than a decade ago, when it, right after the time it was uplisted to critically endangered. The first action plan was developed in 2015, and now we are in the second action plan implementation. there are 4 goals, and also very simple. We have to prepare the birds for release. We have to have a suitable and genetically diverse managed captive population for reintroduction. We have to prepare the site for them. We have to make sure that there's not only suitable but also safe. Those suitable sites are safe for them to call home. And very important in Vietnam, we need to raise the public awareness about why we have to protect this species. For many people, when they think, oh, this is a bird, does it taste good? And we have to engage local communities in this effort to ensure the sustainability of our efforts. Well, it's the truth. It's the truth, inconvenient truth. And of course, we have to ensure political will. We have to ensure the support, the resources to make our dream for the species to come true. And we have decided that the one plan approach is the only approach, the only feasible approach for us to achieve our goal, all our goals. For me, one plan approach can be defined very simply. It is the closest collaboration between the in situ and ex situ communities. And we operationalize our one plan approach through the establishment of a very diverse and a very inclusive Vietnam pheasant recovery team, which consists of 15 colleagues here from the in situ and ex situ world. And you can see that many names are very familiar. And 2/3 of that are from the in situ, from the zoo community. So once again, here I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all the zoos to provide the technical expertise and also the leaderships in conservation, on top of all the resources that you have supported us so far. Thank you. As you can see, the population of the birds of the Vietnam pheasant in the zoos are now the only hope for the species. Zoo has been playing a vital role in the process, as the same as you have done for the species in the last century. From the husbandry guidelines have been developed and translated into Vietnamese for use of everyone involved. The EAP program has been kindly and very professionally managed by colleagues from Prague Zoo. Veronica, I think I cannot, I cannot pronounce your surname, but Veronica. But Veronica, everyone can know who that is, and Prague Zoo, everyone knows. I pronounce properly on those words. Yeah, and we have the disease risk analysis done, also using the data from the zoos, and our colleagues at London Zoo is studying the effect of tail-mounted telemetry devices on the birds. And in order to have the birds to come back to home, it has to be they have to be transported from Europe to Vietnam. And our colleagues at Tierpark Berlin is doing that important assignment. And this is what we are doing on the ground. We've made certain progress. We have acquired the land to build the breeding centers, and also we lease land to be one of the potential release sites. We have certain infrastructure, and we have planned, and we hope to have the first trial releases to be done by 2027. No, no, I think I shouldn't frighten you with all those things. But we know that in order to make our dreams come true, we need certain resources. And also, when we say we want to do something, we have to put our money where our mouth is. So I have to come to the next slide anyway. We need resources for the operation of the breeding center. And we also need resources for the site preparation. But I want to relieve some of the burden to relieve the expectation on you all. Site preparation is Viet Nature's expertise. And we are making quite a lot of progress to carry out site preparation works at 2 sites. So I think now I rely on the zoo communities for your expertise, technical expertise, and also resources to run the breeding center. And I think you know better than me what it takes to run a breeding center and also a nature education center, accompanied nature education center. So here is the facilities. We've built the first block of aviaries in the 4.5 hectare of land. It's ready to receive the first birds to the site by the end of this year or early next year. We are now waiting for the birds to come. But you can see we have 4.5 hectares of land, so more aviaries are planned. And we need resources for that. And this is the nature education activities in the site. We are working at our center, and also we work with local schools and local communities to raise their awareness and to engage the own works of life, but to engage the young people in our conservation work. And also we have villagers. Some of them are ex-hunters to be in our team who are now working in the breeding center and also working in the forest. And what they do in the forest? They do snare removals, and they do biodiversity monitoring using camera traps. In one site, in the last 10 years, we managed to remove about 50,000 snare lines in the forest. One snare removed, one life saved. So you can see we've managed to save 50,000 lives, animal lives. And this is some of you Can any one of you tell me which species it is? Please, yes, the Vietnamese crested argus, critically endangered. And it was recorded just in March this year in one of the sites that we want to release the Vietnam pheasant. And you can see this is the difference between having and not having patrol teams in the forest for snare removals. On this side of the slide, these animals are really unfortunate. One of them here died in the snare. That one was amputated, and this one are in the restaurants. Do any one of you can tell me which one, which species over there? Any? The large antlered moonjack, critically endangered. And this species, anyone can guess? Now you cannot tell, you cannot identify, but can you guess? It's the red shank-toothed langur, also critically endangered. So, and that one, that zero is a lucky one. It was discovered in one of our patrol trip and was released by our staff over there. And for many of you, working in the zoos with very high standard of animal welfare, you cannot imagine that in the forest there's this kind of traps. These are a few of dozens types of traps in the forest. These snares and traps can catch any animal from as small as a rat to a bigger one, even an elephant. Yeah, you see. And over there, it's a kind of, can you guess? It's to catch what? I think all turtles or snakes, frogs, and it's in the stream. And we cannot arrest people when they hold such things in the forest, because you cannot imagine that it is an illegal tool, a tool to do illegal activities. So I am coming to the very, not yet to the end of my presentation, but again and again, I always want to express our deep gratitude to all your support, to all the institutions named here and also the unnamed heroes who support our conservation work on the ground. We are deeply grateful for that. And we hope that what we do on the ground really deserves your expectation, will be up to your expectation. And I hope that I have enough time to show you a short video clip on how the young people in Vietnam see our story about Vietnam pheasant conservation.
Maybe I don't really want to know how your garden grows, as I just want to fly. Lately, did you ever feel the pain in the morning rain as it soaks you to the bone? Maybe I just want to fly, wanna live and don't wanna die. Maybe I just wanna breathe. Maybe I just don't believe. Maybe you're the same as me. We see things they'll never see. You and I are gonna live forever. Maybe I will never be all the things that I wanna be. Now is not the time to cry. Now's the time to find out why. I think you're the same as me. We see things they'll never see. You and I are gonna live forever. Maybe I don't really want to know how your garden grows, as I just want to fly. Lately, did you ever feel the pain in the morning rain as it soaks you to the bone?
So thank you for your attention. We believe that we have all the ingredients to turn this dramatic story into a success story for the Vietnam pheasant. So please join hands with us. Thank you.
Wait a second. Yeah, I think thank you to Anh to coming all the way from Vietnam to the stage in Leipzig today and share your passion for the pheasant, the story of hope, and this inspiring educational video. Thank you again.
Thank you. Let me share with you a very small detail. I was so happy that I didn't say good night to you at the beginning of my presentation, because now it's 10 p.m. in Vietnam. Thank you.
Maybe one sentence on the side. I think your numbers were ambitious, and I think you didn't scare people. I know that Karlsruhe Zoo pledged 50,000 already, and you have the remaining days of the conference to convince some others in this room, I guess. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, from one elusive species to another, let's come to shelled animals, the magnolia snail, and let's listen again to a pre-recorded video from Thomas.
Yeah, one of the flagship species of the current conservation campaign Vietnamazing by EAZA is the Vietnamese giant magnolia snail. It's standing for the very poorly known invertebrates of Vietnam. And this species already is known to science since more than 160 years. But we have still many gaps in knowledge. And this species also is listed as critically endangered by the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, in their red list, because it's hunted for food, for medicine, and which is most terrible, the shells is collected for the trade. So we had to do something. One goal was to extend the European conservation breeding program and network. The Chester Zoo already is quite successful in keeping breeding this species, and the plan was to transfer offspring from Chester to other zoos in Europe. And we hope in a few weeks we can transfer the first offspring from Chester Zoo to Cologne Zoo, and from here to other interested zoos in Europe. And one goal was to develop and publish best practice guidelines. And this already has happened. They are now available. And I already could bring these best practice guidelines to Vietnam, to our colleagues in Vietnam, because we also wanted to establish a conservation breeding in Vietnam. But most important was, of course, field surveys to find out, is the snail still existing? How many are there? What do they need for survival? How can we better protect them? And I myself had the chance a few weeks ago being in the habitat in Cat Tien National Park. And I was very lucky I could find a shell. And that already was a bit older, and it was empty. But it gave us a hint in which habitat the snail is living. We then found further empty shells, and we can say the snail prefers forest ground which has volcanic origin, volcanic stones, a dry substrate, and also a not too dense forest coverage, which also let through some sun rays and some vegetation. And with this knowledge, Dr. Du Tu from the IBR, the Institute of Ecology and Biological Resources, subsequently did longer surveys, and he finally was so lucky to find the snail alive, and also could film it during feeding. So it's ficus, fruits, it's large mushrooms, which is important to adjust and optimize the conservation breeding both in Europe and also in Vietnam. And in the meantime, we have established conservation breeding facilities in Vietnam at different sites, and one of them in Cat Tien National Park in the natural range of the species. And few of the individuals seen by Dr. Du Tu were transferred to these conservation breeding facilities, and the snails are doing very well there. They feed, and now we also hope that they will have offspring in the near future, and we would have snails later on for bringing them back to the wild, to the nature again, to restock the diminished natural populations. And the population service will be continuing. We also have plans, if we have more data, to get an official protection status in Vietnam, in the Red Data Book, in the Red List, not only in the ICN Red List, also in the country of origin. And we also have plans to do genetic research to find out whether there are signals, differences between subpopulations, which could be important for our conservation measures. So still some things in front of us to do for the snail, but already many things for improved knowledge and improved conservation, which could be done for the Vietnamese giant Magnolia snail within the Vietnamazing conservation campaign.
Hello together. I give a short, quick report of mossy frogs. Shall I click? Yes. Mossy frogs are not only a flagship species, but a flagship genus, Teloderma. Mossy frogs are a lesser-known group of tree frogs. Due to their cryptic lifestyle, they are rarely observed. Two endangered species, Teloderma riabovi and Teloderma koi, are known only from a handful of individuals and a single location each. Campaign goals are to ascertain their actual population size, and generally to investigate the true extent of mossy frog biodiversity. These conservation objectives are ongoing, and a side effect is the discovery of the new species Teloderma woltersii named after the famous Jürgen Wolters. We need studies to find out whether the locations of endangered mossy frog species are covered with protected areas. The studies and genetic analysis are very expensive, help to save the beautiful, cryptic, and fascinating mossy frogs. I encourage all of you to hear them croak. And now I believe that Theo have news for you.
Yes, thank you, Lucia. In a while, crocodile. It's more or less the highlight now of our presentation because I have the pleasure and honor to present the two most beautiful species, fascinating, sexiest, and cute species of our Vietnam campaign. And the first one is the Vietnamese crocodile lizard. So what has been done so far? We have habitat conservation, so we started habitat conservation. We need to continue the population monitoring. We have to find places where the animals live. And of course, we have to do a threat assessment. So what are the problems really out there in the wild in Vietnam? We have urgently to do an expansion of the conservation breeding network. We started with that. So we have bred them in our facility and we have spread them already to other facilities. And we need an identification of suitable sites for reintroduction. We need to find them because we hope really to bring back these species as well. And the important newt, or the important news to the newt, it's similar. We urgently need more population monitoring. We have done some first surveys. You may know that this animal is only found from 4 spots only in Vietnam. And we really fear that a little bit of habitat destruction, a little bit of climate change will really destroy the last habitats. So we need to find the animals. We have to go to the field. We have to do genetic analysis to be really sure that these are the species we are looking for. With genetic analysis, we may be even able to find new species of newts because they look all similar. And furthermore, several new holdings within the ex situ community in Europe have been already established. And that is exactly what we need in the sense of the one plan approach. And we have also, you saw already some slides of the Milin station where the typhoon went through. And we have also animals there in the country of origin, the breeding. And we have first successes. And I have also a short video for you. And that is the Milin station. And here you see our colleague, obviously without any sound, so I have to translate. He shows the offspring of the last year. And what you should know is that we were able to bring in larvae to Germany. We bred them, we brought them back. Now they breed them in Vietnam. And it's absolutely in the sense of the one plan approach that we then later on, together with our colleagues in Vietnam, will be able to bring them back to the places where they belong to. And here you see the larvae. They are doing very well. And Thomas is actually checking and helping again there. But yes, the hope is there now. We breed them in our facilities, in our zoos in Europe. We breed them in Vietnam, and we have to bring them back to the wild where they belong to. And now, back on stage.
Yeah, the last one. Let's talk about stick insects, the Nuitua stick insect. Maybe some people believe that if you know one stick insect, you know all stick insects. But The Nui Chua stick insect shows a very special behavior. It is scientifically described in 2018. And the small males form lifelong bonds with much larger females, maintaining this connection even during the molting process. And you can see, oh no. And you can see the remarkable bond they have during their whole life. During the last months, we have successfully established a well-working conservation breeding network in Europe. Reproduction rates have proven to be extremely successful. Surprise, if you see this. We can say that the species in captivity is currently secure. The next step is to establish conservation breeding efforts within Vietnam itself. We assume that this species is endemic for the small area of the rainforest on the Nui Chua Hill because it is surrounded by a dry forest area. One goal is to ensure this and to collect data on the population size, a crucial step toward the inclusion of this species on the IUCN Red List and the Red Data Book of Vietnam. A first field trip took place earlier this year. Unfortunately, Nui Chua stick insect could not be found, but since Monday, Thomas is on a field trip in Nui Chua National Park. He has sent a video yesterday, and I am very excited. Could he find Nui Chua stick insects?
I'm here in Nui Chua National Park, which is a coastal forest. Yes. This is the home of a number of microendemic species which are only occurring here. We have a dry forest in the lower section, which is the home of the Vietnamese mouse deer, for example, a threatened mammal species. And this is actually the habitat of the dry forest, which is quite thick and thorny and difficult to access. And in the montane forest, in the upper region, this is the home of the Nui Chua stick insect. The mountain top where there is the evergreen forest and where the Nui Chua insect has been found, which we try to find to get more information about its population status, the threats. This is the transition zone. The habitat starts to change, and now we are leaving the dry forest and enter the evergreen forest, and hopefully we will find the Nui Chua stick insect. See what you have.
Yes, we have seen how we sent Thomas to Vietnam to bring a piece of the jungle and the campaign back to here to Leipzig. And I guess, Theo, you need to be careful that he doesn't work for a television crew in the future, like an influencer these days. But Lucia, you said the last species. Is it really? I would say, let's hear from Jens Over, the Heckel, the president of the ZGAP, how they connect the Zoo Animal of the Year campaign to add more species and the campaign to the campaign. Or you can.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, dear colleagues. Dear Theo, in addition to the species we have just seen, there are even more beautiful species, because Vietnam is also home to some important representatives of the gecko family. Over 100 gecko species have already been described for Vietnam. Many of them are endangered and urgently need support. Therefore, with the Species of the Year campaign, we created a supplementary platform for these species. What happened? Ah, this one is the one. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. So we have created a supplementary platform for these species. The annually changing species conservation campaign was first launched 2016 by zoo-related partners in the German-speaking region. We have focused the 2024 campaign strongly on Vietnamese gecko species and made it a partner of the campaign of Vietnamazing. In the spotlight are golden geckos, several bent-toed geckos, psychedelic rock geckos, reefs, tokays, and different tiger geckos. Conservation initiatives are being implemented in Vietnam for all of these species. What are the campaign goals? First, the Species of the Year campaign is aimed at raising awareness about the threats and conservation needs of lesser-known wildlife species cared for in zoos. Second, it raises significant funds for conservation projects working directly on these species. Our zoo visitors and public are familiarized with the in situ and ex situ components of conservation according to the IUCN One Plan approach in a way that is easy to understand. At the beginning of each year, a press conference is held at a selected zoo that has already achieved conservation successes for the respective species. This year, the campaign was launched in Cologne Zoo, thanks for that, Theo, where Thomas Ziegler runs the Exotarium and has been dedicated, as we have already seen, to researching and protecting, but in this case, Vietnamese geckos for years. Scientists, politicians had been invited to the press conference to help spread the word on the importance of zoos in species conservation. Like Mrs. Rievenham, president of the German Federal Agency for Nature Conservation, who took over the patronage of this year's campaign and who spoke about the cooperation between authorities and zoos in the efforts for species conservation. With the help of these examples and with zoo animals, which take on the important role as ambassadors for their threatened relatives in the natural habitats, more and more each year, we were able to inspire the press to report on important species conservation topics. Over the past years, the campaign has been able to support a positive image for the conservation work of zoos nationwide. Due to the increasing awareness of the campaign, we can repeatedly accommodate newspaper articles, radio and television reports, but not only in German-speaking countries.
The small but mighty gecko has been recognized as 2024's Zoo Animal of the Year. the Zoological Society for the Conservation of Species and Populations in Germany bestowed the honor on the sticky-footed lizard as part of its preservation efforts. There are more than 1,000 species in the gecko kingdom.
We collect donations to implement important conservation measures in the countries of origin of the focus species and to support the project teams in Vietnam who work on the gecko species. Together, we can make a valuable contribution to the conservation of many threatened and, above all, less publicly noticed species. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you.
Yeah, we heard a lot about species and conservation projects and updates, but we all know that conservationists and researchers are nothing without communicating things to the public and taking them on board. So let's hear from Marie and Claudia how we raise awareness, not only as a campaign, but with all of you who are a partner of the campaign.
Exactly. As you've heard, one of our goals is, of course, to highlight Vietnam as one of the biodiversity hotspots. So not only within our community, but also with our guests, we want to share what that means. So let's see how we, together with all of you, have started to spread the message. Over the last few months, we've seen many zoos and aquariums who held activities. Some of them have shared their initiatives with us. We have seen informative signage, which was created from the materials we provide you in the members area, as well as amazing exhibitions and presentations and exclusive tours of exhibits showing Vietnamazing species. Of course, also many fun events, especially engaging for children, have been held, some in the cooperation with the Vietnamese local communities of the zoos. We thank you all for being part of Vietnamazing and sharing your initiatives with us. If you are holding activities or have already held them, please share them with us through the email hello@vietnamazing.eu or with any of the members you know. Thank you.
So thank you, Marie. Speaking of sharing and social media, if you want to stay tuned with the campaign and also spread the word to your community, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We have already 700 followers on both channels. And thank you to Marcel Stavinoga from Dortmund Zoo and Thomas Siegler from Cologne, who have created amazing content during the last year already. And we will keep you posted with hotspot insights from our focus species, from the local partners and the projects the campaign is supporting. Also, check up on the website vietnamazing.eu and sign up for the newsletter. And if you have not heard of this campaign before today, which actually cannot be, I think, but just in case, here's a quick reminder. We have prepared lots of communication material for you. We have education panels, species fact sheets, and promo posters, and a range of merch items which you can order at the store. And if you have a question, you can always visit us outside at the Vietnamazing stand just in front of the door of this plenary hall and talk to us. And just last week, we have prepared some new promo posters. And a big shout out goes to Joel Sartore and National Geographic. Joel is famous for his photo arc, and he lets us use his amazing photo shots of our threatened Vietnamese species. So here is a sneak peek for you. They will be available very soon for you to use at your institution as well. And just in case you don't know, Joel is having a speech tomorrow at our Explorers Arc and on Friday afternoon, so don't miss him. And you probably have noticed the campaign team is wearing a new wonderful shirt. So if you think you should have that too, here's the QR code. It gets you directly to the merchandise shop. And all the members of you know they have a 10% discount. And you might have noticed we want to get you all on board. So we have thought of something very special. If you join the campaign with your institution until Thursday midnight, you can jump into the pot and win a promo pack for your institution. It consists some t-shirts and some temporary tattoos. The tattoos you can also get on your hand when you come outside to our stand. So become a member, register, and jump into the pot. We will pick the winner after Joel's presentation on Friday afternoon. Last but not least, let's give our threatened Vietnamese species a voice. As of this minute, you can use these newly created GIFs of those species on WhatsApp and Instagram. Just type in a message and choose in the Giphy section the word Vietnamazing and you will find them. And should you be in one of our address books, don't be surprised if you get a message during the next minutes. So, but before I'm losing you all on your phone searching for Giphies, let's have a short movie break before we will start our finale grande.
Yes, thank you. I hope this video got you emotionally. And before we come to the grand finale, I would like really to say thank you. Thank you to the chair of the Conservation Committee, because they made us able to do this great campaign. And we also, the whole campaign team, would like to thank Meryl from the office for the very good cooperation and her support. But let me come back to business. Future goals of the campaign. You have seen we have already achieved a lot, but we have to achieve even more. We need to go on and support more fieldwork. We have to continue population monitoring. We need genetical screening. We need threat assessment. Habitat conservation has to be started and to be intensified. We need to identify suitable sites for reintroduction, and we need the expansion of the conservation breeding network in Vietnam and in our zoos. So, the questions are you already a part of it? And realize Vietnamazing is an EAZA campaign. It's not the campaign of Cologne or Leipzig. It is your campaign. And for the very first time, and I'm working within EAZA now for over 33 years, that is the first campaign where we really try and live the One Planet approach. You all know the One Planet approach. You have heard about that today already. Invented by the Conservation Planning Specialist Group by Orny Byers in 2014, and we have the chance to live it now. It is your chance, and I push my finger on you. And you can be sure the public later on, and maybe some of the animals in need, will judge our success. So it is a big chance for all of us, and if we work together, you have heard that already, we can make a difference. Means we urgently need you. And we need you to fulfill our goals of the campaign, of your goals of the campaign. We want to save species together with you, and we have to reverse the red on this planet. So, working in this business or in this community for over 3 decades, I have learned 2 things. The first is work with positive reinforcement, and that is what we try to do in quite a while. But the other thing is also to get people active. So, and you have heard there are over 150 institutions already participating in this campaign, and I would like to ask all of you who work for one of these institutions to stand up now, please. And now we all can applaud to these Superman heroes we have heard from my family this morning. These are the first ones, and I hope others will follow. So a big applause to all of you. Please stand, please stand. Keep standing. I said it's action. It's not sleeping, it's action. So please stand. And now I ask all of you here in the room, if you think you contribute to conservation in whatever way in your job, please stand up as well. And if anyone still sits, you know, we have a talk at the bar. So, thank you very much. Please stay. Because the third question is, and you have heard I'm more or less a dinosaur, a silverback, whatever you want to call me. So I'm a long time here, and I have seen other times in EAZA. And sometimes we ask ourselves, where are the decision makers? Do they still attend this annual conference? And that is my question now. Please, keep standing if you are a director or if you have the ability to make decisions on conservation budgets. All the others, all my heroes as well, they please sit down. But all the others, please stay standing. Okay. That's nice. Keep standing. Take pictures of all of them. And now, I hope this works. Where's the last slide? Together we can make a difference. We had that already. Funding is needed. We told you. We have a lot to do still. So we have 2 phases, and we have 3 of the species chosen. You see, we need 20,000, 10,000, 5,000. And I would like to ask my colleague and dear friend Jörg to come on stage, because I said I have learned that positive reinforcement is very, very helpful. So what we have decided is, we were able to convince him, and it was not easy. It took me several drinks to convince him, you can believe me, that he will offer the ones who now, here in the room, immediately say that they will pledge, and it's only 5,000 euro. If someone is willing to pledge 5,000 euro, you will get a voucher, and look at that. I hope it's a joke, you will get vouchers for cocktails on Thursday evening. And I have learned something else. So before you raise your hand, I said positive reinforcement and lead by example. So we both, because we drink a lot, we will also, Leipzig and Cologne will also give 5,000 for the species. And now, let's say the auction is started and I saw the first hand, Jens over, I saw Sandra from Düsseldorf, and you must help me. We have colleagues down here. Please take the hands of these people, take the notes, and then they get the envelopes.
And I can tell you, we have created also names for the drinks. This, for example, is a mossy frog cocktail.
Yeah.
And we have also given me a chance, gin.
Yeah. And you will be pleasantly surprised, can be sure.
So tomorrow night.
There's another one.
Another one. Oh, that works perfect.
Matthias. Great.
So, and what I can tell you, we have prepared here the envelopes, and there are coupons in for 10 of these drinks who give 5,000 euro. So please come. 10 coupons.
Wait, we have just decided, please, to keep you under control, the superheroes of the superheroes, please come on stage and get your envelope, and then we take a picture.
Yeah.
And if there is anyone else who want to see a smile on Tuan Anh's face, another one. Wait, Jonas. We go on. We go inside.
Matthias, halt doch mal so ein Wörtchen.
So, where are the envelopes? Yeah. So that is the most expensive drink I ever I ever sold in my life.
Genau, komm mal zu mir.
Eins, zwei, drei, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. 11. That means 55,000 euro. Thank you. Woo!
Yeah, thank you very much. And for the ones who were too shy to stand up now, you have time till tomorrow. So you can reach out to one of us, and we keep it secret if you want to. So you can drink behind the scenes or whatever. And with this, I think our session is closed, and let's Vietnamese. Thank you very much.